is there a specific state you need to be in to receive a reading? Yes, there is. And mainly, okay, it's the one of your mind needs to be open, it needs to be understanding, it should be very logical in a sense, or in a certain way. You need to like take the emotions out of the situation. You need to make sure that when you receive the reading or when you hear the reading, you are in a state of openness, you are in a state of receiving information, you are not in a state of feeling overly emotional and in a way allowing your emotions to cloud your judgment instead of actually hearing them out and listening to what they are saying. Because depending on the time of day, you are going to receive and react to information differently. And that will actually set the tone for the rest of your day. And so when you receive this type of information, you need to make sure that you are ready to receive it so that you can then do with it as much good as you can. That you can maximize the information that you've received to the fullest and utilize it to the best of your abilities. But you are going to have a very hard time doing this when you are basically, how should I put it? When you are emotional and you're all up in your feels and you like project things onto situations or onto people, or you're projecting things in your mind and you are creating, because you in that moment are creating the reality that you find yourself in. You actually create the reality you find yourself in way before. So technically speaking, to avoid the trauma of ruining your day, you need to make sure that you fall asleep in the right headspace so that you wake up in the right headspace and you maintain that right headspace throughout your day. So this is not something that happens once and you're good. This is something that you continuously, consciously choose to create within yourself, because or else things will go downhill quite quickly. Okay? So you need to make sure that you are in the right headspace, that you are thinking the right thoughts, you are in the right alignment, and that in reality, you are open to receive the information, ready to digest the information so that you can get out of it the most you can get out of it. So interestingly, I also give readings and insights on virtual platforms as well. So if ever you don't live in Montreal or in and around Montreal and you absolutely want a reading from me, we can set that up on a virtual platform. It will be my pleasure to assist in any which way. So half of the stuff that they said I can ixnay because they have their traumas and I have my traumas, and I am not going to listen to this part of the reading because it's all tainted by their trauma, right? And so once you are able to do that and then be able to receive the information and look at it from a third person perspective and be able to then act through it or be able to react to it, if you will, in a manner that is not going to be detrimental to you, that's the best situation. But you need to be grounded, you need to have meditated, you need to be a clear channel, you need to be an open vessel. That's what it should be. You need to be an open vessel to receive the information that you are being given and then be able to think about it and then be able to get the best situation out of it for you. Because if you don't like think of these things from a perspective of what is it for me, for example, okay, at some point I was giving a reading to a client of mine and I was channeling a passed over loved one, or I was getting the scent of something, or I was receiving information that they did not deem important, but their spirit guides deemed important for me to mention it. Because sometimes, okay, some of them are important. For example, I was once in a taxi cab and I actually did channel someone's grandmother. And she got really emotional in the car, but I needed to like brace my like brace myself, ground myself so that I can be a clear channel, a clear receiver of this information, because the information that I receive, I need to be able to translate it correctly. So what I was receiving is this sense, it was this feeling. So I needed to relay the feeling to this individual. And because I was able to take myself out of the situation, be able to describe what I was actually going through and what I was feeling to this person, she fully was able to see that, okay, so Talar is actually channeling my grandma, right? Because sometimes you need to know when it is you receiving the information or when you are receiving information for someone else. That is also important to know. And this is why readings can get extremely complicated, complex. You need to, first of all, you need to make sure that your reader is grounded and that they understand these things themselves. And the best way to pick a reader is to pick a reader who has been through this before, who has experienced this, and who knows the situation. Because if not, it will actually cause some problems because they won't necessarily have the necessary baggage to translate the information that they are receiving as a receiver. I hope that makes sense. Now I'm talking through a specific, very specific perspective. I'm talking through a communication perspective. So what I want you guys to think about is, do you actually meditate and ground before receiving a reading so that you can make sure that you are an open vessel and ready to receive whatever information is coming at you? Ponder that.